You know, I was just on the channel earlier. The live, the live is ended, but I was in the chat and I said something, about, my past. I, high school, class of 2000, I graduated. Before then, I was always into it with some guy. Back then, it was more like a certain part of life that I was into, gotten into, when I shouldn't have. Basically, let me just fast forward back to the high school. I was always into fights, with rivals. And these are fights that I never started. They always came to me. I just dealt with it. I dealt with it. I deal with it. I dealt with it. And most of all, I finished it. Um, Rivals. I was always into it with rivals. Now, I know that this video is not going to suit for everybody, and it might suit others. But, sometimes you can't hide your past. Sometimes, whatever you've been through, if you take a chance to speak about it, speak about it. Don't hide it forever. Don't even hide it from God. Let it be known. Even if you don't get on people's videos to tell it, but you do a video like this, and you just let out your, your feelings in your own way. Let out your testimony. Rivals, I was into it with, and at that time, back then, I was going to one certain high school, and this has started back from 1996 to 1999. And back then, the rivals that was being fought was Insane Gangster Crips, Rolling 60s In Hood Crips, and 5-2 Hoover Gangster Crips. Wasn't really much of any of the it wasn't much of the murder side Crips there, and there wasn't much of the aggravated Gangster Crips there. But the other three, yeah. But the majority of every Crip that actually went to the first high school that I was going to was Insane Gangster Crips. I was always into fights with them. Back then, I was only cool with one guy. One guy, that was it. The rest, I was always into it with them. I was also into it with the 4th Street Bros, aka 4th Street Brothers, Latino gang, well, Mexican gang, because they was Mexican. I've never seen no other Latino type of nationality in that gang, but just Mexicans. So it was them, the Folk Nation Mexican gang, and the Los Cholos Mexican gang. I was always into fights with them, and yeah, you could say I was always. Well, I don't want to say the word, so I'll just leave it where it's at. I'm not trying to make this video too long for nobody. I mean, I know people don't really look at long videos and stuff, so I try not to make these videos that I'm doing so long. And I'm looking at how many minutes this is now. Oh, well, yeah, I see why. But Okay. Let me fast forward to when I got booted out of the first high school I was going to because of too many fights. And to tell you the truth, the last two fights that I was in was I never started it. They just got tired of me fighting there. So they kicked me out and they sent me to another high school. So basically, I had like 26 plus more credits. You know, I had good credits. No matter what I was, no matter how many fights I got into it at, in high school, my grades was always good. So my grades was good enough for them to send me to another school, and they did. Now the next high school that I went to was from 1999 to 2000. So I did a year or maybe some months because here back then in my time, you start high school always in August, and it ends in May. And graduation takes place either in May or in June. That's it. But that's how it was in my time. So the second, let me not call it the second, but the last high school that I was sent to, I was into, I'll say about a couple of few fights, maybe about a good uh, four or five, 4 or 5 or 6. But, the gangs there was Los Cholos, Mexican gang, and the insane gangster Crips at that school. So yeah, you know, I was in the fights with them. So now back to my comment though. I said something about I never retired. I'm just not as bad as I used to be. I really calmed down after high school. When I graduated, I calmed down a lot. I started working jobs because at first I was working the summer school job, during the summer. It really wasn't a summer school job, but it's like you need to do something during the summer. So I was working for a grocery store that used to exist here in Austin that was called Albertsons. I used to work for the Albertsons grocery store. And then that was like the summer of either 98 or 99. And then, going back to high school and then finishing high school. So after high school, I started working jobs. I was still getting into fights in the streets though, but majority of my time after high school and not really much fighting in the streets was always working jobs. I've always worked a job. I've always worked jobs. A few years later, uh, I started having more changes about myself. So about 5 years ago, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. I'm sharing my little story, or what I've did to my little cousin, and my little cousin told me, "You growed up. That's all you did. You growed up. You grew out of wearing a certain color. You grew out of always getting into squabbles. You just, you're not the same as you used to be." He was right. He was right when he told me that. I growed up and I was not the same as I used to be. Because if I was still the same old me, either I wouldn't be dead for sure. I'm gonna tell you that now. I sure would not be dead. I would either be in prison or otherwise. But being dead, no. I never did let I never did let that get to me. Get in my lane. You know. But yeah, I guess when you have time to yourself away from everything else, you see where you start to see that change is good for yourself and for the inside. So y'all be safe. I see this video. This video's going on 10:30. Yeah, 10:31. Okay, yeah. Let me go ahead in this video, but I guess I'll try to put that out there. So yeah, I'm still with God and everything too. I still believe in the Bible and the church. That never left me. Never. That will never leave me. So anyway, y'all, salute. Put this back in my ear. Get back to my music. Oh, salute. God bless. Peace to you all.